Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the 3D Critic channel. I'm David, your host, and today I'm going to give you guys my performance review on the Nike Kobe 8 Protros. When it comes to Kobe's, this is my first time trying Kobe's in general for me personally, so I was curious to see what the hype was all about. Ever since he died, he had a Protro line that helped develop along with the Kobe 5s, Kobe 6s, which are famously known for like the Grinches and stuff like that. And now the Kobe 8s are out, and I was finally able to get myself a pair of these and curious to see what all the fuss is about. Starting off with the overall trying experience, they were a little difficult to put on for me personally. I had to space out the laces quite a good bit just to get my foot inside the shoe. And it didn't help the fact that the ridges on the midsole itself does stick to my sock a little bit, so that made it a little harder for me to get my foot inside the shoe. But as you break it in, it does break down a little bit. That way it gets smoother inside the shoe. So be mindful of that when you try to put them on. At first, open up the laces. That way it's pretty seamless and straightforward. It is a low top, so after a while, it should be easier and easier to put them on. As far as sizing is concerned, I went shoe to size, and they fit me overall pretty good. The length of the shoe is just right where the butt's directly on the toe box area itself. And for the width, they are a little narrow, but overall it's just enough. And once you break it in, it does open up a little bit. So because of that, I would go true to size. For narrow footers, you should be able to do the same because of how narrow the shoe is itself. And for wide footers, because of that, I would probably go up half a size to make the foot more accommodating for yourself. So be mindful of that when it comes to sizing. Now, as far as pricing is concerned, they are priced at $180 on Nike.com, which is where I got them from on the second release of these with the team colorways that I got. So they are available in limited quantities, unfortunately. So if you are still interested in buying yourself a pair, I will leave a link in the description box below, along with a suggestion to other pair of shoes, which I think performs very similarly to the Kobe 8s, maybe even a little more and a little cheaper, in fact. So stick around at the end of the video, and I'll also leave a link to that in the description box below as well. Now, for the traction itself, it's a full-length rubber outsole with this very aggressive herringbone traction pattern, along with a snake scale traction pattern as well that integrates within the outsole itself. As far as grip is concerned, they are very tacky, but you do need to rubber them in, because initially I found myself to be sliding everywhere, left and right, especially going from side to side. And vertical movements with a little bit of warm up, it does get a little better. So just be mindful. Initially, you do have to rubber them in just to get a very tacky feeling overall when it comes to the grip. And once you rubber it in, the lateral movements were very shifty going from side to side. I did slide a little bit here and there, but overall it felt pretty good to me at the end of the day. As well as vertical movements, the hard stops were very good because of the herringbone that you get. It is very aggressive, so you're able to stop on a dime. And you get very sudden push-offs, so you're going to have a really quick first step. In addition to that, for dusty courts, it does pick up some dust, but at the end of the day, it is easy to wipe off. So if you find yourself to be sliding here and there, just one quick wipe and you're just going to be all set when it comes to the dusty conditions you're going to be in. For durability, it is good, but I am noticing some signs of wear, especially in the herringbone and the high wear areas. It is starting to fray off a little bit, and the outer rim on the lateral side is starting to bald out, especially on the rim of the outsole itself. So because of that, I would be cautious playing in these outdoors, because the rubber itself is kind of soft, and you do get deep grooves in it overall to me. So you should be fine outdoors, but it's not going to last long. So I would keep these indoors just to maintain the life out of them, for my personal preference. So as far as traction goes, it is very grippy, very elite in my opinion, but be mindful that you do have to rubber them in and keep them indoors to get the best out of it. Now, for the cushioning setup itself, it is a drop-in midsole setup made out of Nike React foam, which performs pretty good. It's nothing crazy, but at the end of the day, it gets the job done when it comes to what you need in a basketball shoe. In the forefoot, it gives you a very responsive feel, and it is twitchy at times, so you're gonna have a nice lively feel under your foot. And when it comes to the overall explosiveness, it is very explosive in my opinion. You get a bottom-loaded glass-based carbon fiber shank that gives you a nice pop under your foot, so you're able to get up very easily in these, giving you that overall lively feel that you get when you were trying to get up off of the floor. And moving into the heel, they are comfortable. It is borderline comfortable at the end of the day. The React foam itself gives you really nice compression overall, but it is caged within a really clunky heel section. So when it comes to the overall impact protection, it's just good at the end of the day. You're going to get decent impact protection when it comes to overall heel strikes. So it is borderline good. It's not the greatest that I have felt, but it does get the job done for me. And it does affect the fluidity a little bit. In terms of fluidity, it does have a little clunky feel when you're doing heel dominant strikes. So once you are going from heel to toe, it is a little clunky, but the foam itself has a little softness to it, so it does alleviate that clunkiness a little bit. And the heel to toe transitions itself were just some pretty solid at the end of the day, and it does get up to speed very quickly because of the carbon fiber shank that you get. So in terms of fluidity, it's borderline okay as far as that goes. And overall, to me, they're just a borderline good cushioning setup at the end of the day. It does bottom out over time, so be mindful of that. As it's new, it is overall pretty good, but as it breaks down, it will start to bottom out a little bit, and it won't feel as comfortable at the end of the day. So when it's new, it's a pretty good setup. It gets the job done, what you need, with a responsive forefoot and a decently comfortable heel cushioning as well. And it gives you a snappy feel under your foot, making it very lively. But just be mindful that it will start to bottom out over time, and it won't feel as comfortable for long uses. Getting into the materials, it is a pretty basic setup at the end of the day. You do get this really nice engineered mesh on the forefoot and goes into the lateral and medial side of the shoe. You have a really rounded glossy fused overlay here around the toe box, which is pretty plasticky to the touch when it comes down to it. And as you move further in the midfoot, the tongue is nicely padded. It gets the job done. It's made out of leather, and there's more leather in the back half of the shoe on top of that, with some more plastic in the back. And you do get some nice decent padding in the heel, the same amount as you get on the tongue, and they're actually pretty comfortable. The mesh material itself is nice and flexible, so you're not going to have any pinching around the shoe. And with the padding on the tongue, you won't get any lace irritation from the shoe lace line as well. And the padding is nice and comfortable, and it does mold the more you play in it. So it is overall a nice, comfortable feeling shoe when it comes down to it. In terms of the aesthetics of the Kobe 8s, I like the overall detailing around the shoe, and it is a very sleek look considering how basic the overall colorway is. It is nicer in other colorways, but this is pretty good in terms of how bland it is, in my opinion. The stitching on the Nike logo is nicely well done in the lateral and medial side, and you're also going to get more stitching on the Kobe logo on the top, which is really nice. And you also get more Kobe logos on the rubber, as well as in the back half, which is integrated within the plastic itself, which is really cool. And you get more Kobe logos on the midsole itself with snake scales all around it to give it that nice overall design. And it is a nice looking shoe at the end of the day. It doesn't blow anybody away, but since it's a Kobe, it does. It might blow some people away in terms of that. But overall, it's pretty comfortable with the mesh that you get, and aesthetically, while looking pretty basic, it is looking pretty nice as well, and nicely detailed as well. Now, moving into the lockdown, to me, I found this to be surprisingly really good when it comes to lockdown from front to back. And considering that it is a low top, I thought it was actually surprising when it comes to the lockdown. In the forefoot, because of the narrow fit, it does lock it down very well, so you won't have any movement when it comes to sliding forward on hard stops and going side to side. And in addition to that, the ridges on the drop in midsole that you get does stick to your sock a little bit. That way you won't slide around any further in the footbed, so it does enhance that overall lockdown experience when it comes to playing in this. And in the midfoot, the cabled lacing system they have tightens up very well, especially as you get further into the lace line. It has this ankled strap that basically wraps the ankle around, which felt really nice and containing overall. And it transitioned into the heel, where I did notice a little bit of heel slippage at the beginning, but as you break it in, the padding does mold around your foot, and it does improve overall, and it just molds and sculpts in the back of the heel. That way you won't experience little to no heel slippage. So to me, the lockdown was surprisingly good overall, in my opinion. With the forefoot being narrow, it does enhance it a little bit with the ridges that you get from the drop-in midsole itself. The lacing system, as you go higher up, it just gets better and better, and it gives you better containment. And as you break in the padding in the heel, it provides you very solid heel containment where you don't experience any heel slippage at all. Now, getting into the support, to me, initially going into it, I thought it was just pretty basic, and it was kind of lackluster when it comes to overall support, in my opinion. But as I got into it, and the more I played in it, it was very surprising when it comes to the overall support. For the lateral support, you do get this little flange creating an outrigger, as well as the rubber coming up to the material a little bit with the fused overlay that you get. It does contain the forefoot a good bit. That way you won't experience any instability when you're going from side to side. And as you go further into the midfoot, there really isn't that much. You're just relying on the material itself as well as the fuse that gives the material a little bit more rigidity. That way you won't experience any instability in that front. And in the heel, you do get a double dose of shanks along with this plastic clip that you get on the lateral and medial side, and you also get an internal TPU heel counter to contain the heel very nicely as well. So it was very nice and containing in the heel, with the midfoot just being adequate, and it does provide good support in the forefoot as well, considering that it isn't really that sloped, but you do get containment nonetheless from the material itself. For torsional support, because of the bottom loaded carbon fiber shank that you get, it is very rigid in places that you need to, especially in the midfoot. So you're going to have incredible balance, in my opinion, and I didn't experience any instabilities when it came down to that. And the base itself is nice and flat, so it improves the stabilization a little bit more. That way it gives you a really nice solid platform to land on, but it is on the narrow side of things because the shoe itself is pretty narrow. So it isn't the widest base that I have seen, but it is pretty flat, so you're going to have that on your side when it comes to overall stability. So to me, the support was genuinely surprising. You get adequate lateral support from the forefoot, midfoot, and you get really nice support in the heel. The torsional rigidity on this is very good, with flexibility where you need it, giving you incredible balance under your foot. With the base being nice and flat, just be mindful that it is on the narrow side, so it isn't the widest outsole that you're going to have in terms of stability, but it is pretty stable nonetheless, and I was genuinely surprised at the overall package that you get as well. So to sum it up for you guys, the Kobe 8s to me are a very good shoe. When it comes to the overall package that you get, traction is very good. Cushioning, while pretty basic, it does get the job done for you when you need it most. Materials are very good and look very nice, and the lockdown that you get as well as the support is pretty good. But to me, at 180 bucks, it is a little bit overpriced in my opinion, considering that there is a shoe that I think performs just like the Kobe 8s. And to me, I think the 808 Ultras from Way of Wade perform exactly the same as the Kobe 8 Protros in my opinion. It has the same feel when it comes to the traction setup. It does slide a little bit at first, but as you rubber it in, it feels pretty tacky. And the cushioning setup, it is a little better in that aspect, considering that the Kobe 8 Protros cushioning setup is a little basic in my opinion. So that is a step up in the 808 Ultras, and the materials that feel pretty much the same when it comes to the mesh that you get, as well as the overall package that you get from that. And the support, basically the same characteristics when it comes to that. It's just a little bit more enhanced in the 808 Ultras in my opinion. And the lockdown as well, as you get better and better into it, it does improve overall. So if you can't have the access to get a Kobe 8 for strictly performance, I would recommend the 808 Ultras in my opinion, because to me, they perform exactly the same, maybe a little bit more in some areas. And they are a little bit cheaper too. They usually go for $150, $160 on Way of Wade's website, and they go on sale frequently. So keep in touch with that when it comes to getting yourself a pair of these. So, and if you guys are interested, they are available right now on Way of Wade's website. I will leave a link in the description box below, as well as a referral code where you can save $15 off of your order. And if you get 15, I get 15. So that is a win-win for you and me. Yeah, as far as that, they perform exactly the same as the 808 Ultras, the Kobe 8s. In my opinion, they're a little bit overpriced when it comes down to it, when it comes to the overall performance that you need in a shoe. But if you're able to get yourself a pair of Kobe 8s like myself, considering that it is the first pair of Kobe's that I've ever got, it holds sentimental value to me, and I wanted a pair of Kobe 8s for a while now. So if you want one for yourself in terms of sentimental value, go right ahead wherever you can find it. But in terms of performance, and if you want to go a little bit on a budget, I will go with the 808 Ultras from Way of Wade. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been my performance review on the Kobe 8 Protros. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below on what you think of the Kobe 8 Protros. Were you able to get yourself a pair? I would like to know your thoughts on how they felt for you, and if they are similar to other shoes that you have tried, I'd like to know your thoughts on that, as well as any other questions that you might have for me. And if you'd like to stay up to date with future videos that I'll be posting, hit the subscribe button down below. It will greatly support the channel, as always. And if you want to see what I am talking about the Way of Wade 808 Ultras, I will leave my review of that shoe on this side of the screen. And if you'd like to follow me on social media, all of that information will be in the description box below as well. I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day. I hope this was beneficial to you guys. And until next time, keep shooting.